and I've been following you for a while, but for those who may not know, just start off by explaining, who you are and what you do.
Sure. And thanks for having me on, Travis. I really appreciate it. My name is Mihran. I am a wholesaler, flipper, and now landlord too in the state of Ohio. And we do some deals in Florida as well. Been doing this for about 5 years now, since 2020. And yeah, just been operating in those two markets. And I've built a team for, acquiring these properties and, just been going from there.
That's pretty awesome, man. So, you've been doing it 5 years. You're in two different markets. Did you start off in two different markets, or did you start off in one?
I started off in one. I started off in my local town in Toledo, Ohio. And I would say by like the year and a half mark, I decided that I wanted to go into another market. And back then I wasn't really like structure to my company. Like I was kind of all over the place doing a whole bunch of different things. So it really wasn't until like last year where we like actually decided, since we already had roots built in that market from the years prior, to actually like develop a structure and a team around that market, and it's also our market too.
It's awesome. What do I don't know if you have a preference, but if you do, what do you prefer? Do you prefer doing it, in your backyard, or do you prefer doing things virtual, or does it not really matter?
I would say it doesn't really matter. Here, like if I'm here locally, I am a lot of times in person, especially when it comes to like disposing properties, or if it's a property that we're anticipating on buying, then I'm going to be in person. If I'm in Florida, I don't have that luxury, but I don't see it as much of a hindrance.
Mm.
Um, just because in Florida, like, we're mostly wholesaling, we're not really doing a lot of buying at this point, at least.
Yeah,
So uh, I wouldn't really say that I have a preference.
sure. That's good. That's good,
Yeah,
Uh, starting 5 years ago and doing business now, I'm sure your train of thinking is a lot different. The person you were 5 years ago isn't the same person you are today, right? Um,
most.
I saw a post that you recently did about limiting beliefs, facing your fears. Can you dig a little bit deeper on that for me?
Yeah, yeah, I know the post you're talking about. So I was just thinking in my head, about that topic, and then just made that video. But to sum it up, when I was first getting started, by the way, I got started when I was a teenager. I got started when I was 18, so I was definitely a different person then than who I am now. Um, but when you first get started, like you have like these habits and beliefs that are necessary. Like if you're doing your very first deal, like and you're on a tight budget, right? Really your only ways of doing it are, prospecting, whether that be to sellers, to agents, to wholesalers, whatever your little niche is, that's really your only option. Right. But as you begin to develop, and by the way, backtrack a little bit. Once you start doing this business, like, you become very stuck in your ways.
Yeah,
Like, you could, let's say you've been cold calling for a year, and now now you built some capital and you want to you have the ability to delegate that to a cold caller to cold call for you. Some people are hesitant to doing that because they've been doing it for so long, for all this time, and they've gotten used to it, and they know that it's predictable for them, right?
yeah,
Because they've done it so many times before. And what I was saying in the video was how to overcome fear and doubt. At least what I came to the realization of was that it's okay to change your thought process and change your patterns, because as business owners, like, your job is going to change, gradually, like back to the example of cold calling. Let's say you start off your cold calling yourself, right? Then you get callers. Now your job is to manage those callers. Let's say you get to the point where you need to hire salespeople, right? Now your job is to, instead of doing sales, now your job is to manage salespeople, right? So your job is constantly changing as an entrepreneur, and you just need to be aware of that. Like,
yeah,
your job is not going to be, it's not like a 9 to 5, or like any other like corporate job where your job is the same thing, right? It's that's not the case with entrepreneurship. Like your job is going to drastically change, yearly, when you're getting that when you're first starting. So hopefully that sums up what you were trying to ask. I think I explained it the best I could.
Yeah, man, it definitely did. I appreciate it. How do you, as yourself, get past your limiting beliefs? Like, what were the steps that you took to change your business?
So what I just mentioned, like that's been something that I've been really, thinking about a lot recently, with just understanding that my roles are going to change as I grow. Early on in my journey, I had a lot of times where I felt like I was just really stuck, like I was not having any momentum.
Yeah,
And what really helped me then was number one, be aware of it. Don't try to like hide it in your head.
yeah,
Understand that, there's a problem and the problem is there's no deals coming in. And like me, I didn't have any other job. Like this was my only income.
yeah,
So number one, understand your problem. And then two, seeking out help. Like I was grateful and blessed to have, mentors in my life at that point that I could go to. And like I would just tell them my problems. Like I was telling, okay, like I have this rut in my business. I'm doing everything I can. Like I know that, it's not due to a lack of hard work on my end. I'm putting in the work. I'm just not seeing the results.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, it just came down to accountability, someone that I could be accountable to, not necessarily like an accountability partner. I don't really believe in those, but somebody that is like a mentor or like a coach to you. Like we're both in TTP. So like I
yeah,
know that like Brent, that was the person that I went to at that point in my business and, talked to him about these things. And I was able to get some clear guidance, just
yeah.
clarity on what I needed to do and raise the expectations that I had for myself. That's really what he taught me to understand was I had to raise the expectations for myself to a point where I was almost, fearful that I couldn't hit them, but it turns out that you can, it's crazy what you can do when you actually put your mind to something, right? So that was one thing, and then like I said before, understanding that my roles are going to change and it's okay to be fluid in how you think. As an entrepreneur, that's really your superpower. You can't always be so rigid in how you think. I mean, you need to have discipline. I'm not saying don't think without discipline. Understand that you're gonna have to be disciplined in certain actions for a certain amount of time, and then not everything's gonna happen all at once for you. But also balance that with some fluidity in your thoughts.
Love it, man. That was a great answer. And big shout out to Brent Daniels, man. He's just helped all of us out, you know. Shout out to the Rhino tribe. Brent's a great guy. So
Yeah.
what does your business look like today as far as assigning and buying? Like, are you mostly buying in Ohio and assigning in Florida? Is that how it looks?
Mostly we're assigning. I'm trying to buy like one a month right
Cool.
now. That's really a goal that I have for this year, for a flip, and then some of them may be rentals as well. Um, but it's mostly assigning.
Cool, cool. That's how you make that quick money, you know.
Right.
Uh, Once you start buying, I see that the sales cycle just slows down a little bit, but but you do make more money sometimes, when you're not assigning, so that's cool.
Right.
Um, so what do you feel like your future looks like, man? Like, you mentioned a flip. Do you want to do more flips in the future?
Definitely, yeah. So just expanding a little bit more as far as what we do for, our exit strategies. So I definitely want to do more flips. That's a big goal for me this year is to do more flips. Definitely to build more of a portfolio here, like locally in town, and potentially expand into our Florida market as well when it comes to buying rentals. Um, and honestly, just to grow the business. We want to be able to be at a point in the next couple of years where we can hit seven figures in revenue and, constantly build out, a team and have a good work environment that empowers people to come in and, make good money and to do, to be a part of these deals. And that's really the vision that I have for, the next coming years.
A good vision, and it's good that you have that vision, man. I can already tell just from this short conversation, you got a good head on your shoulders. Um, you and I started around the same time. I started about 6 years ago. You're about 5 years in, and a lot has changed since then. Now we have all these different ways and, ways to blind us. You mentioned cold calling. Are you still cold calling your team? Like, or what are you guys doing to produce leads?
Yeah, so we actually have a $0 marketing budget. All of our deals are coming from realtors and wholesalers and just word of mouth. So just from our brand that we have locally, brings us our deals. And yeah, so just networking with wholesalers and agents.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hmm.
So in Florida, I would guess that the market in Florida is a lot more active than the market in Toledo, right? Like there's probably a
Yeah.
lot more buyers, a lot more houses on the market. So
Sure.
are you like reaching out to agents for pocket listings, or are you reaching out for on market, or both?
So when we reach out, it's going to be for pocket listings. This just really, well, I should say our first conversation is really just to build a relationship with them, that we're looking for these types of deals, and then we send them what our buy box is, for distressed homes. And as we follow up with them, what we're really looking for are pocket listings. Sometimes they'll send us deals that are on the market, and if they're priced right, in certain price below asking, then if the deals make sense, then we'll go for it, of course. But most of them are off market.
That's awesome. So when did you guys pick up the JV and the agent type of model? How long have you been doing that?
The last strictly over the last 10 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've always been direct to seller. I've done a few deals with agents, but I don't know that maybe it's like what you were saying earlier. I've been doing something so long, I have a limited belief about it, maybe. How do you usually, so when you approach these agents, you're just like, hey, this is what we do, this is what we're looking for. We would love to connect with you. That's usually the first call.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I know. I'll just call up. Like, let's say if you're a realtor, I'd be like, hey, Travis, this is Ron. I'm, just want to make sure that you're a realtor here in, Jacksonville or the Toledo area. And, just wanted to see if you can potentially help me with finding, property that I'm looking for. We're looking for distressed homes in the area, and just want to see if that's something we can help that you could help us out with. Obviously there's a script behind it, but I'm just giving
Yeah.
you the rundown. But yeah, but pretty much it's the first call, like our cold call, is just like an introductory call where we're just introducing ourselves as buyers in that area, and just trying to build a just start to build the relationship. And then really where your deals come is they're going to come from your follow-ups. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be very rare that you're going to have a deal that comes in from the first call you have with an agent. Usually it takes time to build, and you may connect with an agent today, but they're not going to send you a good deal until like 6 months from now.
Yeah.
So it could also be the next day, but it just depends. So really the goal is just have a volume of agents that you're following up with on a biweekly or monthly basis, and just nurturing that database, and then just making sure that you're in front of them all the time, and just pretty much telling them, okay, like, I'm still looking for deals. I'm still looking for deals. And they're out there coming across these properties. So when they have something, they'll send it to you.
Oh, that's awesome. So how many agents, if you know, like, do you have in your database right now that you're following up with?
Um, I want to say 4 to 5 thousand right now.
Oh, wow. You're crushing it.
Thank you.
So how big is your team exactly? Like, are you making these calls? Do you have like somebody else making the calls for you?
Yeah, so I have a team of five, so including myself. So I have me, I have my acquisitions manager, I have my transactions coordinator. I have two VAs. One is just an administrative VA, and then the other one is like a dispo assistant. So they pretty much just help with building up our buyers list, and just helping out with, like, dispo activities, like putting deals out onto our buyers and so on. So admin and dispo assistant kind of share some of the roles, but they do more to the admin and dispo work. And then to answer your question, my sales rep is the one that is doing the calls to the agents.
Sweet, sweet. So what does your day look like? What are you doing in your business every single day?
Yeah, so I still do deals. So, people that I have connections with, like wholesalers that know me will send me opportunities or agents will send me opportunities. Um, Day looks like, in the mornings, usually meetings with my team individually. So I have a meeting in the morning with my transaction coordinator going over our transactions. I have a morning with my sales rep who, we talk about, what's going on in his pipeline. Um, I make sure I work on make sure I'm getting any of our current projects completed, whether that be a flip that we're working on or a rental that we're working on, and just pretty much just managing those things on a day to day, pretty much, and obviously trying to build, build out the business more is and scale it is something that I'm also working on as well.
That's awesome. So you don't have any plans or goals to go direct to seller again?
I do. Yeah, it's something that I'm actually working on for this year.
I love those direct to seller deals, you know.
Yeah.
I love them. I love being direct to that person. With an
There's
agent,
good. It's
what is it?
I Oh, I was just gonna say there's definitely pros and cons to both. Like with direct to seller, what's great about direct to seller is number one, you're gonna get the most discounted deal. Obviously, because it's directly to the owner, it's not competition you're having with other buyers, at least that you're like in direct like competition with. And it's also super predictable. Like if you're doing like marketing, like you can predict where how much your dollars are going to return you. With agents, it's not so much like that. The pro is that you can do the same amount, if not more deals. Um, and it's not really as much legwork to do those deals. But the trade-off is that I do find that they are smaller deals. But both ways to go are ways that you can build your business. I like the direct seller too, so that's why I'm trying to get back to it this year.
Sure, sure. You say that the assignments with realtors are a little smaller. Do you have like an average assignment you're seeing with the on-market deals?
Yeah, for us, so our market's a little bit smaller. It's like a cheaper housing market. So ours is about like 8 grand.
Okay. And and how many of those would you say you're doing like a month?
Anywhere from like 4 to 6 deals a month is where we're at
Awesome.
right now. Yeah.
And that's just literally following up with those 4,000, 5,000 agents and just staying in touch and staying in front of their mind, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm just getting started with agent outreach, right? Like I'm getting started today, what advice would you give me just getting started out?
Number one, I would make sure that before you start calling, you have a way of managing these relationships, like having your CRM it on point. I'm not saying like be like a nerd with your CRM and try to do everything yourself. Like, but I would definitely try to find something that's like pre-built, that can like number one, it's easy to use, right? So that you can use it yourself, and also if you want to plan on bringing people on, like you can train them easily how to do it. And then number two, making sure that you have a way that you can follow up with your agents by sending them like direct text. Because especially like nowadays, there are a lot of regulations with sending out drip messages. So making sure that your CRM is capable of doing that because you don't want to be sending out manual text. It's a lot of work, especially when you have a big list. Having something that can actually like manage those relationships is really really key, and then getting a dialer, uploading agents to that dialer and just making calls, make sure you're tracking how many calls you're doing and make sure you're hitting the metrics that you want to hit to hit your goal. Like for us, like our sales reps main KPI is making sure how they get a certain amount of contacts, like new contacts per day with agents. So 50 contacts is like our expectation for the day to have as far as new contacts going out and for to new agents.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, just those things.
Yeah, that those things are important. So what happens when you run out of agents? Do you go to a new market?
You just call the list again. I haven't really ran into
Yeah.
that problem yet. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of agents out there. There's new agents entering the market every single day. So
True.
there's always people that we could connect with. I'm sure if we get to that point, then yeah, we'll maybe expand our territory a little bit. But at the moment, we haven't seen that happen yet.
I understand. See, I'm in West Virginia, so I'm not too far from you. We're neighbors, you know what I mean? And being from West Virginia, I feel like, this market is just not the best market. I mean, I do deals here, I make money, but there's a lack of housing, there's a lack of buyers. So, I've done deals virtually. I've picked out little places. What made you pick Florida? Like, was it just the activity of Florida, the weather, the amount of population?
Uh, those things did play a role. So taking it a little bit back when I like a year and a half into my business, I was like trying to experiment with different markets. So Florida wasn't the only one. I think I was experimenting with Florida, Virginia, and Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah, Alabama. So I was experimenting with all of those markets, and really, I just pulled like three separate lists of absentee owners from each market, and just tested it, which one that I had the best performance with. And it just so happened that Florida was that one. So that's what made me stick with it. So that's really how I came to it. I mean, there wasn't like anything like too methodical that I did. I did make sure that like each market in those areas had like a certain population, had a certain um, average home price, but like I wasn't really looking too much deeper after that.
Sure.
It just happened to the rules happened to perform better than the other ones.
Gotcha. Yeah. Are you primarily dealing with houses? Do you do anything with land?
I do. I do stuff with land. I'm actually working on a few land deals right now. But yeah, mostly it is houses, multifamily as well, land. Those are really like the main three ones that main three types of property we focus on.
Do you feel like there's a difference in the psychology of a land seller versus a home seller?
I think so. Yeah, I do think so. Yeah, because I feel like with a house, there's a lot more sentimental value, or at least a lot more like emotional play there
Mhm.
because if let's say they lived in it for 20 years, right? There's just a bunch of sentimental value that's built into that property, a bunch of memories that that seller has built with that house. Like the house means a lot to them, right? And for it to get to the point where they now need to sell it for cash is probably a hard pill to swallow for them. That's why they're so motivated. With a land seller, it's just a piece of land. Like they didn't, maybe they had a barbecue on it once or twice, or I don't know what they did on it, but like it's not like they've spent their life on that piece of land, especially if it's a vacant piece of land, So the level of emotion that's in play when you're talking with a seller of a single family home versus a land piece of land, I think is different.
Yeah,
But also, what I will say is that doesn't mean that land buyers or land sellers are just going to like give their piece of land away because I've seen it where they're asking ridiculous amounts for their piece of land where it's not even worth retail. And on the flip side, I've seen it where they sell like just dirt cheap. Like I've literally bought pieces of land for free. Like they'll
yeah,
just give it to me for free.
yeah,
And I've also seen it where they want to give me it for, triple what the retail value is. I've seen it go both ways. So I think with houses, there's just a lot more emotion involved. I think with land, people just have a lot more, they think a lot more logically and just a lot more about, the money.
yeah, yeah. That makes total sense to me. Um, going into the psychology of sellers, I also like when it comes to agents. So when I'm talking to a seller, direct to seller, like I don't give offers to everybody. I'm only giving offers to good quality conversations, people that I'm vibing with, that I feel like really wants to sell. How, for somebody getting started, like how is there certain agents I need to stay away from, like certain personality types?
I wouldn't say that we try to stay away from certain personality types. If anything, we try to make sure that we can communicate with all personality types. But like if the agent's just being like an asshole to you, then, like clearly being an asshole, like they're swearing at you, like whatever, like that's someone that I try to steer away from for
Yeah,
obvious reasons. There is some agents that just don't work with investors, and those are agents that I also stay away from. Like I'll try to disqualify them, and they just disqualify themselves. Like, you know, those are just agents that I don't really work with. And that's really it. Like as long as unless an agent just tells me no, I don't want to work with you. Other than that, those are the only two reasons why I would disqualify an agent on my behalf.
Awesome, man. Man, you impressed me so much. I'm happy that we got to be on here to talk face to face. As far as the JV goes, if I'm looking to JV and I need help, like what are you helping with? Like when should I come to you?
Yeah. So here in our local market, we're boots on ground as well. So a lot of people are out of state and they don't really have eyes on these properties. I'm born and raised here, so I know the streets, street by street. I know the value street by street, and also I'm on the ground here, so I can go, we can go and get photos for you and, meet your seller and all that jazz. So that's obviously one thing that we provide. Other thing that we also provide is a buy number. We're wholesaling these, but we're also buying them as well. So, we can give you a reliable buy number that we'll stick with. And that's something that we can do in both markets. Like it's not just, one market, it's both. And those are really the main things. And also, obviously, is access to buyers.
Yeah.
So I have someone full time that's building our buyers list. We have a pretty sizable buyers list that's also been nurtured as well. It's not just buyers on a list. These are people that know that we have deals, people that we've been in constant communication with.
Yeah.
So just access to reliable buyers that can perform quick is something that we also, have as well when we're trying to dispo deals.
That's definitely important, right? That definitely in markets that you're not in physically because you don't want to just send any buyer out to a property when you have an agent involved too, right? I mean, that's how
Definitely.
um so how for those who have some deals in Toledo and Florida, I think you said Jacksonville, is that
Yep. So Duval County and like the surrounding counties as well. So we'll do like Jacksonville all the way down to St. Augustine, down to Palm Coast. And then we'll do, Nassau, Clay County as well.
how can I submit my JV deals to you? Should I reach out to you? Do you have a link?
Yeah, so all of our deals we prefer them to be sent to us via email, and I'll give you the email that people can reach out to us to. It's deals, deals at eastblueproperties.com. So deals at east as in the direction, blue as in the color, properties.com.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, if anybody watching this, if you have a deal in, Toledo or in Florida, I'm going to put that email, in the description of this video and you guys can go and submit and I'm sure his team will help you out. So, before we're running out of time here, but before we go, what can you leave the audience with? What is some last minute value?
Don't give up. Just don't give up. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. I promise you, if you have if you actually believe that this is possible for you, real estate investing, real estate wholesaling, if you actually believe that it is possible for you, you will make it happen. So don't give up. Seek out help. Don't be afraid to seek out help. People are more than willing to help you out. I've seen it happen, so much in my life where, I was scared to ask for help or was fearful that nobody was there to help me. And then I was just completely wrong. People are so open to give advice. Travis has, this podcast where I've seen he's interviewed a bunch of, very giving guests, and he himself is a giving person. He's someone that could help you out. I gave my information. If you guys need me to help you out in my markets, I am more than welcome to. And then there's so many good resources out there for people that are willing to help you out. Don't give up. Put yourself around the right people, and you're gonna win. I promise you.